Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. Sorry for these disturbing images, but this is called dental fluorosis. And this is what happens when children get fluoride treatments before their teeth have actually developed all of the enamel. Did you ever get fluoride treatments from the dentist? They still do it for adults. Apparently, they're still a thing, as I found out when I had my first dentist appointment here as a temporary resident in Florida. I thought most people, including dentists, had learned that fluoride was harmful and toxic. Now, I'm one of those that uses natural toothpaste that does not have fluoride added to it. And often I do just my own homemade toothpaste, which is basically baking soda and a little coconut oil. But the good news is that two states have now banned fluoride from public drinking water. I'm going to be talking about that. This has been a battle that's been going on for many years. And there is a dark side to this, not just the teeth, but I want to share that with you as well. And let's first listen to Governor DeSantis and what he has to say about fluoride being banned in Florida.
But what this does with respect to putting fluoride in the water supply is it basically doesn't allow that anymore in the state of Florida. It's forced medication when they're jamming fluoride into your water supply. Now,
very interesting. Forced medication. Gee, that kind of rings a bell. Let me know in a comment below if your employer was trying to force medication on you, your children's college administrator, the military, maybe even the store clerk at Trader Joe's.
If you're brushing your teeth a couple times a day, that's not going to likely present the same type. But, if you're drinking a lot of water, exposed to that in the home, or that's a different story potentially. And so people just should have that information, and then they should make the appropriate adjustments. And there's nothing preventing you and your house from adding fluoride to your water. If that's what you think is good for you and your family, then you still, of course, have the ability to do that. So we don't want local governments unilaterally injecting the chemical into the water supply and exposing people to potentially harmful side effects.
Thanks for watching.
All right, let's take a look at some of these harmful side effects. We are here at a website called Truth About Fluoride. And I'll have a link for you also at my Substack, peggyhall.substack.com. And you can learn about the benefits, the risks, the untruths, how to detox, and uses. So basically, fluoride is an element that is added to about 2/3 of the drinking water in the United States. In other words, nearly 2/3 of the US population receives fluoridated drinking water. It was long considered among the greatest public health achievements of the last century. In fact, proponents of fluoride state that fluoride fortifies the teeth and it reduces cavities by replacing minerals lost during normal wear and tear. But I just showed you that dental fluorosis is what happens when there is excessive fluoride intake. And this is one of the health risks. And I showed you these images here. It gets even worse, my friends. Worst is worse than worse. So we are told that fluoride can fortify teeth and that it reduces cavities. And that according to the CDC, fluoride is especially important for children whose teeth are still developing. Well, we just found out that dental fluorosis is what happens when children's teeth are developing, especially for those under 8 years old. And excessive fluoride exposure can lead to these white spots, streaks, or even brown staining and pitting of the enamel. Let me know if you know anyone, maybe even yourself, that has experienced this. So the proponents say, well, there are low-income children in the United States and their families can't afford toothpaste. Therefore, all of us should have to ingest fluoride in public drinking water because these families are unable to afford toothpaste. Well, I ask, why doesn't the government just give toothpaste to these low-income families? I'm not disputing the fact that there are some children that don't have good dental hygiene, but what about education instead of this forced medication? Here's another problem: skeletal fluorosis. Basically, This is what causes or can contribute to osteoporosis. So skeletal fluorosis results from long-term high-level fluoride exposure, leading to fluoride accumulation in bones and joints. Symptoms can range from joint stiffness and pain to bone deformities and increased fracture risk in severe cases. Let me know if you know of anyone who has experienced this, who has had the bone deformities and increased fracture risks. And this states that skeletal fluorosis is due to the controlled fluoride levels in drinking water, and it's more prevalent in regions with naturally high fluoride concentrations in water sources. Because yes, fluoride is a natural element, and it is already present in certain products. I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. But this again comes from this website called truthaboutfluoride.com. And this is the image that there's normal spongy bone and then the effects of osteoporosis, spongy bone. And this is a symptom of skeletal fluorosis. So think about all of the people you know, maybe even yourself, who have experienced osteoporosis and other bone deformities. You can see the skeleton here on the right. There is a, protrusion there of the chin, and that looks very painful, as you can see. So what's interesting is here we see that at the truthaboutfluoride.com, you can see that this is just a natural element. It is the most electronegative element on the periodic table, which makes it extremely reactive. So there have been many websites and many individuals speaking out about the harms of fluoride. There is one more here that I want to share with you. So there's dental fluorosis, and there is also skeletal fluorosis, and there is neurotoxicity. So, there are a couple of more here. There is a link between high fluoride exposure and potential neurological effects, especially in children. Now, you know, and I know that there are other causes of that as well, but I am all in favor of getting the fluoride out of the public drinking water. This should be a choice, just like any other medical procedure or intervention. So concerns have been raised about the potential impacts on cognitive development and IQ scores. Now, some would say that this is intentional, that the governments are fluoridating the water so that individuals are not going to be as smart as they could be. Also, thyroid function is impaired with excessive fluoride intake. And of course, your thyroid regulates your bone, it regulates your metabolism, and so many other important functions in your body. So there also is something about your pineal gland getting calcified. So all of these concerns have led to people like my friend, Justin Robert from Justin, We Are Change. I had Justin as a guest on my private webinar, and he has been speaking about all of his speaking out at these county councils, because water fluoridation basically is something that happens at a local level. So it's actually quite stunning to me that states like Florida and Utah have banned fluoridation statewide. Normally, the water districts take this on, and Justin has been going county to county to speak out about these harms of fluoride. And he was gaining so much traction. And you can see in his post here from Instagram, it says Cocoa Beach, Florida, stopped fluoridating quietly 2 years ago, and Daytona Beach stopped fluoridating in January of this year. So July 1st is the deadline for Florida. And in Utah, they enacted a law in March, and that became the first state to enact the statewide ban on fluoride in public drinking water. Interestingly, Florida, I should say Utah, was one state that actually had among the lowest amount of fluoride in the water. The fewest counties fluoridated the water. So I think they were ready to just ban it altogether. Now, having said this, let's talk a little bit more about these issues with fluoride. And if these governments and the American Dental Association are in favor of fluoride, let's ask questions why. Shouldn't fluoride be considered more of a medicine than a nutrient? Is fluoride actually necessary for health? It's not like iron or calcium or magnesium that we really need. And as I said earlier, if governments are so concerned about these children who don't have access to toothpaste, why not just give them toothpaste with fluoride in it and give them an option? Maybe they don't want that type of toothpaste. So that would be a lot better than just having it in the water. And it's interesting that the public health agencies should be concerned only about the low income families and not everyone else. Shouldn't we all have access to clean, healthy drinking water? Also, if the public health agencies are concerned about some type of disease outbreak, tooth decay is not contagious. And you know how I feel about that word, contagious. So there's no concern about that. But think about the way that Big Pharma wants customers for life. I wouldn't think that the American Dental Association would want to have customers for life, or that the dentist would want people to continue to come back year after year because now they've got problems with their teeth from the very fluoride treatments that were being pushed. Now, I am going to say that I found a wonderful holistic dentist in Florida. And when you go to that dentist, they have posters and different media educating people about the truth about fluoride. They do not use it. They recommend against it. And it's wonderful to see that more and more dentists are becoming aware of these harms and are speaking out against it. I want to finish out by letting you know that countries with the best dental health include Denmark, Sweden, and Japan. Let me pose a question for you. Do you think that Denmark, Sweden, and Japan fluoridate their water? Well, that would be a big NO. Denmark, Sweden, and Japan, countries with the best dental health, do not have fluoride in their water. I think that is a pretty strong case. Let's think about the negative side effects of fluoridated water. Again, we've got the problems with the teeth, the problems with the bones, the problems with the thyroid. I've also heard that it is linked to high blood pressure, seizures, problems with neurodevelopmental effects. So I am applauding the state of Florida, my temporary or a part-time state. And I am also applauding the state of Utah. And let's see what states are going to step up to the plate and remove fluoride from the public drinking water. Friends, I feel very optimistic about the direction this is going. And I will bring you news about the cooties cocktails because the FDA has also come out with some new parameters related to approving of those products. That will be for you in an upcoming video. In the meantime, thank you for being on board, and I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming broadcast.